The aftermath of Jack defeating Kosho Shinogi has once again led into some Jack wank, which we all love eating. This time, some comparisons to Yujiro with an outline of what Jack has that not even Yujiro is capable of doing or possessing, an aspect we've kinda had claimed about Jack previously or seen with his character since the very beginning. The resolve of this beast is so great that not even the ogre could match it from the cord cutter's perspective. Something touched on by Motobe earlier, how Jack is pretty much very different to most other fighters in the series, especially how he views strength and his road to becoming the strongest, being very important to understand Jack's character in the Baki franchise. For example, he talked shit about the other fighters not taking steroids as fundamental negligence, and how he's the only one willing to do pretty much anything for the sake of gaining strength. Pretty much all the main Baki fighters want to be the strongest, want to be the top dog in their respective field, or this as a whole. However, none of them feel as though they need to take steroids to gain this strength. Jack views this as pretty much neglecting their goal, but I'll be discussing in more detail later in today's video. But the main focus outside of this for Baki Rahen chapter 16 was Kosho once again, and a reminder to everyone that yes, this chapter wasn't really what we all wanted with the 2-week break. I'm imagining some people are disappointed, but it's important to note that Baki as a series has always been better reading in large bunches than pretty much right when chapters are released or waiting for new chapters, etc. There's always ups and downs in a series like this, and as a whole doesn't have a definitive release schedule currently. Pretty much whenever Itagaki finishes a chapter, it gets released, and it has been like this for many years. Back in the day, for the release of the first 3 mangas in the Baki franchise, these were coming out chapters much more frequently. However, that was a very long time ago. Baki has been going on for over 30 years now, which is kinda crazy. And with all that said, yes, Baki is on break next week. I don't know when the next chapter is coming out, but it isn't going to be next week. For this chapter though, it's clear that we're focusing on giving Kosho Shinogi the respect for having the opportunity to face Jack and not getting this outright destroyed in like one clash. A send-off perhaps, as this was his big return to the series, a new demonstration of power in the story, getting a pretty insane buff compared to his previous fight in Baki, which if you don't know was against Doyle where he got pretty much destroyed. Yes, he performed well at first, but still got clowned on. He had pretty much the majority of Baki Rahen dedicated to him so far alongside Jack, and honestly speaking, he did a lot better than I guess a large majority of us actually expected, so props to him. Perhaps he's worthy of a specific title. In regards to that, if you want to support the channel and receive access to additional content and other cool benefits, consider becoming a member and being known as a mad lad, like Kosho, who after disrespecting Jack with his playful bite, decided not to die and get saved by his brother, even if the amount of blood lost would have been enough to kill someone twice his size. We already know Baki characters are built different with the amount of blood supply they have. Kosho didn't die, which I thought was actually going to happen considering what he did to Jack, blinding him in both eyes, and of course the disrespect with the bite. But no, he's still alive. His brother, the overpowered doctor, was able to save him, as expected to be honest, considering how he was able to save Doppo back in Grappler Baki by pretty much turning his heart back on like this. Still to this day a pretty wild scene. But yes, this I hope is the end of Kosho's shine in Baki Rahen. He had a good run, so respect to him. And I would also like to imagine that his brother the Doctor won't be fighting Jack now considering this outcome. If Kosho was to die, I think him facing Jack, even though they've been friends for a long time since Grappler Baki, I thought that would actually happen, but no, Kosho's alive, meaning Jack can go back to I guess the schedule of actually fighting the people he called out. Unless that goon Hanada messes stuff up, but we don't get to see him in this chapter. Hopefully he just disappears, but I have a feeling he's going to come back and play some role. perhaps Hanayama will get his quick revenge and that will be the end of him. Apart from all that, we see Kosho of course training more, I guess, showing the beauty of his martial arts, which connects to a point about Jack. Most of the martial artists in Baki want to make their moves look beautiful, whether it be perfect technique or just the regular aesthetics of their attacks. While on the other hand, Jack is pretty much the complete opposite of that, in a way that he's free from the typical martial art views. There's no aesthetics about the way he fights. His new martial art, Gaodao, the Way of the Binding, is pretty much very different to every other martial art in the series. The other day I released a whole video breaking down everything about Gaodao so far and why it's pretty overpowered, and we're getting more insight to pretty much proving this point once again, as Kosho says this. Maybe it's more accurate to say he's trying to trim away every bit of the waste we call aesthetics. So not trying to look cool, just trying to be as effective as possible. That is what pretty much biting has allowed Jack to achieve, and that's why he's so dangerous. That's why his resolve is pretty much different to everyone else. He's willing to do anything, as we learned when he pretty much called out all the fighters. He's willing to do stuff that not even Yujiro Hanma would be willing to do to win a fight for the sake of gaining strength. And that's why simply Jack Hanma is the GOAT and Baki Rahen is amazing so far. The fact that we're getting a manga dedicated to Jack is pretty much a dream come true. I made videos a few years ago about how Jack needs redemption, and now we're getting beyond the peak in regards to that. Unfortunately, we're not going to know who Jack is going to face next for up to 2 weeks. Hopefully it's only a 1 week break and the next chapter comes out in 2 weeks. We'll have to wait and see. I'm still on the prediction that it's going to be Doppo Orochi, as I broke down in this previous video. That's important to check out. The next chapter we're probably going to see the perspective of Jack and his thoughts on Kosho after the few moments where he pretty much allowed Kosho to get the upper hand and land pretty deadly attacks due to Jack either not taking him that serious or being too much of a nice guy. Perhaps we're not going to really see any side of Jack being nice moving forward after that situation. Also, if you need chapter links, they're always posted in the Discord. If you're craving more Baki content, there is currently a lot of Baki side manga. There's some that are finished and there's actually many that are still ongoing, so I highly recommend checking those out. If you want more information, I have multiple videos going over what happens in those and pretty much a breakdown of all of them. Chapters for those are also provided in the Discord if you don't know how to access them. But that's everything for today's Baki video. I hope you enjoyed. Shout out to these members, the Mad Lads. That's it guys. Peace.